Yes, sir.
Yeah, good morning, students. The topic for the today's class is past transistors. We'll try to see the circuit and its operation. This is one of the concept which we are dealing right now with the third unit. So the topic today is past transistor, circuit and its operation. So let us see first what is meant by past transistor logic. See, normally in the electronics, if you see, we call it as an PTL logic or past transistor logic, which mainly describes about different kinds of logic families, which are used to design different types of integrated circuits. Why do we need to use this past transistor logic is that the reason behind using the past transistor logic is that it reduces the count of transistors, which are mainly used to design different kind of logics, logic gates, and different logic structures. So what do we get by doing this one? But if you are able to reduce the count of transistors in designing this kind of circuits, then definitely you'll be eliminating the redundant transistors. Redundant means here we are talking about the repetitive transistors, which unnecessarily which can cause a consumption of power and which can even cause the delay in movement of the signal. So that's why we need to reduce the count of transistors. Transistors are also used as a switch to pass the logic, which is mainly between the nodes of the circuit. Here, nodes. When you talk about the nodes, there will be different kinds of nodes between the supply voltages, like from high supply voltage to the low supply voltage, which we call it as an VDD and ground terminals. Between these two supply voltage, there will be different kind of logics. So at this different nodes, we are supposed to pass the logic. You're supposed to pass a logic in terms of logic 1 or logic 0, which is nothing else but our signal. So instead of using any kind of switches which are directly connected to the supply voltages. So what actually happens with the past transistor logic? The past transistor logics are often uses fewer transistors, and because of this fewer transistors, the operation and the fastness, the robustness will be much greater. That's why it runs faster and it requires a lesser power than the same uh, function which can be designed or implemented with the CMOS logic structures. If you're trying to design a structure or a function with the CMOS logic, it requires more number of transistors. Because of that one, the power consumption becomes more. So when you use a past transistor logic, the number of transistors will be reduced, and because of this one, the power consumption will be less and the fastness will be more greater than compared to the CMOS logic. So that's the main benefit and advantage of using the past transistor logic over the fully complemented CMOS logic. The next, now let us see what is the basic principle of past transistor logic circuits. The basic principle of past transistor logic circuit is that here the past transistor is being driven by mainly a clocking network will be there, or a clock signal will be there, this way, which runs periodically. So this periodic clocking signal will try to drive the pass transistor, or which will control the pass transistor, and which acts as an access to the switch to either charge up or charge down the parasitic capacitance. So the capacitance will be connected to a pass transistor, which is mainly used to um, give out the output, or to show that there is no output has been stored in the capacitor. Whenever the capacitor is fully charged or it is charged up, we call it as an output has been obtained. So that's what has been given here. The pass transistor is mainly used to access the switch in order to charge up or charge down the capacitances, depending upon the input signal, which are the input signal you drive to the pass transistor. Thus, there is two possible operations here. When the clock is active, when a clock is active means when a clock signal is high or logic 1, then it will transfer or it will charge up the capacitance to the logic high level. Means whenever the clock is high, the pass transistor, the switch will be turned on in case of if it is an N type of pass transistor, the switch will be in the on mode, so that the signal moves through the pass transistor to the capacitor, so that the capacitor will be logic high. It means the capacitor is fully charged now. Whenever the logic is 0, then definitely we know that the N transistor or N pass transistor will not turn up, or it is in the off state. So you cannot pass the signal through the transistor. Because of that one, what happens? The transferring of the signal will not take place, so the capacitance will go to the logic 0. Why does it goes to logic 0? Because in the previous state there was a high logic stored in the capacitor. This high logic stored in the capacitor will get degraded or will be, what to say, it gets discharged to the ground which is connected to the capacitor. So because the ground is at zero, logic zero, and the capacitor is now at a logic high, so the signal will be easily discharged. So that's why it becomes logic zero. In either cases, the output of the depletion load NMOS inverter obviously assumes a logic zero or logic low or a logic high level depending upon the whatever the input you give, depending upon the voltage Vx. So this is a basic principle of what is meant by pass transistor circuit. So now let us see some examples or some conditions about the pass transistor latch circuit and its operation. See, this is what I was talking about. This is the pass transistor which is of N type, and this is a signal D which you give here, input signal, and this is a clocking network. If this is a clocking network, if this is a clocking network, depending upon this clocking network, when clock is equal to high, we know that the N transistor will be turned on. Whenever the N transistor is turned on, this signal from here, from this part, it travels through the channel and it comes over at the output part. This X is the node where the output is now occurred, and that will be stored in a capacitor as an charge. So whenever you get some output over here, that is stored in a capacitor, so it is a logic high state. Now here, this is an inverter circuit, logic inverter, which has got two MOSFETs. One is the load MOSFET, another one is the driving MOSFET. So now PMOS will be load MOSFET and NMOS will be driving MOSFET. So it is MD is a driving MOSFET and ML is a load MOSFET. So it goes on continuing like that. It's a cascading kind of circuit. So it goes on. So let us see for this one particular circuit, let us see the operation, how it happens. So whenever the clock is high, then what happens? If clock is high, this particular D is equal to H or low, depending upon the input can be low, logic zero, or logic high, depending upon the input whichever we give. Then depending upon that, CX is charged up or charged down through the MP. If depending upon this input signal, this capacitor will be charged up or charged down, whatever the signal you give over here. If it is a low signal, then it will be charged down. If it is a high signal, it will be charged up through this transistor MP. And X becomes high or low, depending upon what are the inputs you give here. So that means that the X becomes the output, or this particular node X becomes as high value or low value. It depends upon the input signal which you supply over here. So that's why it depends upon the input signal. Since MP is on, if MP is on means what? The channel has been created here. So if MP is on, then you get the answer is going to be D or X. That is what are the data you try to input over here, that will be seen at the X once if it travels through the channel. So that's why that MP is on, you get a D, and X is now, D and X are now connected. So there's a complete channel, there is a complete right from here to here, the same signal will be there, what are the data you supply. And whenever the clock is low, if clock is low, what happens? We know that this particular channel will not be created. So if channel is not created, the previous output will be the same thing which has been stored in the previous case, and MP is off now. If MP is off, now what happens to the capacitor? CX is isolated from this particular input. CS is isolated from the input D. So that's why the capacitor is now fully charged. Gradually, because this now it is a higher position at the higher potential and the ground is at lower potential, then the discharging takes place. And simultaneously, at one particular point of time, the complete discharging of the capacitor takes place, and ultimately you will not be having any kind of capacitance or a charge present in this capacitor. So the output becomes as low here. So this is what just now I explained here. Whatever the for X is equal to high, then Q bar, this particular part will become is equal to low. Why? Because it's an inverter circuit. If it is high, this input of inverter is high, the Q bar becomes low. If Q bar is equal to low, then again this part, this another inverter is there, this becomes high. So that's this is a general operation about the normal inverter, two inverters which are cascaded. So now what is this one? This construction of this particular latch is regarding only 3 to 5 devices, which is very low. By using only 3 to 5 devices, we can easily construct this particular pass transistor latch circuit. And let us see now the concept about whatever we have seen up to now here. So now, whenever the clock is equal to 1, if clock is equal to 1, in the previous circuit, I have explained about only D is equal to high or low. Now I'm trying to explain the same circuit by taking some logic 1 or logic 0, so that it will be very much easy for you to understand this particular circuit. So let us see now that operation. Whenever the clock is equal to high, if clock equal to high, since it's an N type of logic, N type of transistor, the transistor will be turned on. If clock equal to high, transistor is turned on. If D is equal to 1, there's a logic 1. That means that VD is equal to VOH and that is equal to VDD. So now you're having the voltage supply is equal to VDD and MP is conducting. MP is conducting means what? A channel is now conducting. Channel is conducting, and see the capacitor is charged. Capacitor is charged to weak 1. So ultimately you'll be having some capacitance in the capacitor. So that's how you get this one. And ultimately we have seen that in the previous case, how the Q bar becomes low. Q bar becomes low. Now in the next case, during the clock is equal to 0, whenever the clock equal to 0, your pass transistor is off. If pass transistor is off, what happens to this one? The logic level Vx is preserved. Whatever the voltage is at the X node, it will be preserved because the previous state has been high. So it will be preserved through the charge storage element. There's a capacitor on the Cx. So however, the Vx starts to drop due to the leakage. So what happens? Gradually, the potential which is stored now as a logic high in the capacitor will discharges to the ground. So this is what happens, and ultimately you will not be having any kind of charge on the capacitor in that Cx place. So what value does the Vx has to deteriorate to no longer like a stored? Means if earlier it is logic high stored, approximate logic high is stored. So to what extent it can discharge or deteriorate so that that can have the value in the capacitor? And this example which we have taken from this book, Kang and Lebly BC. This is a book authors. These are the authors of that particular book, and you can see in the page number also. In this one example is given for an inverter where if you supply one VDD is equal to 5 volts and threshold voltage of a N transistor is equal to 0.5 volt, 0.8 volts, and VOL is equal to 2.9 volt and VIH input high is equal to 2.9 volt. If this is the case, initial Vx is equal to 4.2. So what happens? Let us see now here. Due to the leakage current, this will decline over the time. Means the degrading of the charge which is stored in the capacitor will gradually goes down for some period of time.
Sir.
Yeah, please.
Sir, the audio is breaking in the middle. It's not clear.
No, it is clear from my side. I'm audible. It is also
clear. Can you hear me now? Now I'm not on what is this headset?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Is
Sir.
it audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, fine. So see, when it declines below 2.9, then the logic 0 out of the inverter can no longer guaranteed. So what happens here? You're having that input voltage you're given for the 2.9 volt. If below this 2.9 it comes here, means you will be having a logic 0 of that inverter will not be guaranteed. Means ultimately it will be somewhere greater than 0, less than 0 only. That's nothing else, but ultimately it will be in between logic 1 and logic 0. So this is one of the example which is given how the degrading of the charge takes place in a capacitor. So thus to avoid this one, to avoid this kind of erroneous output, why? Because ultimately why we call this an erroneous output? Because we know in the VLSI we'll be having only two kinds of logics, logic 1 or logic 0. When it is logic 1, we say it is a fully charged capacitor. The output is obtained. But whenever it's a logic 0, we say that it's discharged capacitor output, which is output is not obtained. So now here, but you can get an output which is not equal to 0. It can be between logic 1 and logic 0, or it can even degrade below the logic 0. So that is erroneous output. So what is the main how to avoid this kind of erroneous output is that the charge stored in the capacitor Cx must be restored or refreshed to its original level before Vx declines below the 2.9. Means before the X node, this X node goes below 2.9, you should be in a position in order to charge up this particular transistor. Means it has to, the channel has to be created, and again a new output has to be obtained in the capacitor. So that's how you can avoid that erroneous output. So always you should maintain that a continuous supplying of a signal should take place in this particular region of capacitance. So this is how you will be avoiding that particular erroneous output. That is called as a restoring or refreshing of its original level. So this is one of the example we have seen, and this part is a operation with the help of logic 1 and logic 0 of that particular circuit. So now let the basic principles of this pass transistor logic circuit with the logic 1 transfer. So now here I have taken one example. So here logic 1 transfer. How does the logic 1 transfer takes place? Assume that Vx at time t equal to 0 is equal to logic 0. It is equal to 0 volts. Vx equal to 0 volts at time t equal to 0. And Vin equal to VOH, that's a high VOH means we call it as VDD, our main supply. There's a high voltage. So if Vin is equal to VDD, there's a logic 1 which we take it as a logic 1 in VLSI. So it is logic 1 and clock equal to 0. So now if clock equal to 0, let us see what happens. So see now, if clock equal to 0, now it tends to VDD, means that if clock equal to 0, now what happens here? This is an N type of transistor. The channel will not be created. You will not be having any kind of channel over here. So ultimately, what happens if channel is not there, then definitely you cannot expect any kind of output over here initially. Initially the output, because we don't have any kind of condition before, there's no previous state, pre-charge is not been done earlier, so you'll not be having any kind of output. So now let me consider this case. If VDD is over here, and now clock equal to 1. Whenever the clock equal to 1, then definitely the channel has been created, and this VDD goes to the output. Depending upon, again, the current will be there. That's a current is nothing else but drain current, where if you're talking about the drain current, as I explained in the previous lectures, you're talking about the movement of the electrons. If the electrons are moving, means the current is being produced here. So current will be produced at the drain, and now here you will be having some output at X, and that has been stored here. So VGS is equal to VDD minus Vx. So VGS, what is this VGS? It is the voltage which is between gate and source terminal. So this is your gate terminal and source terminal. If you want to get the VGS value, you're supposed to subtract VDD, what's your main voltage, minus the voltage at the Vx or that voltage at the X node. So that's how you can obtain the VGS, and ultimately VDS is equal to, that's a voltage between the drain and source terminal is been calculated as VDD minus Vx. That is ultimately nothing else but VGS. So ultimately your voltage will be VGS. Therefore, VDS is greater than VGS minus threshold voltage, and this MP is in saturation. This is the condition for making a transistor to be in saturation. Always we should, while designing any kind of VLSI circuit, you should be you should always look into the state that whether your transistor is in saturation or non-saturation, or else it is a weak state, or in another states of MOSFET operation. But mostly try to design your circuit such a way that your transistor will be in saturation mode only. But nowadays, many designers are there designing even below the saturation, in the weak region of the saturation, and those kind of research works are also been going in order to get the lesser power consumption and for many other benefits from this MOSFET operations. So now let us see. This is a equation which tells about this operation of the saturation region. That Cx, that's a C dV by dt, which we have studied in our basics of physics. We have studied this formula, C dV by dt. We have did this one. This now we have differentiated this one with respect to time t. So Cx is a capacitor and Vx is a voltage at the node X. That is equal to Kn by 2, which is a constant into VDD minus Vx minus threshold voltage of this particular MOSFET. So this is one. So now we'll try to integrate this one and try to find it out what the output of this particular parameters in the next slide, how to obtain that one. So see now this VT threshold voltage VMP is a subject in order to the substrate bias effect, and therefore depending upon this voltage level at the Vx, we will be neglecting the bias substrate bias effect for the simplicity. The substrate is nothing else but we have studied about how to design the PMOSFET and N MOSFET, and even the CMOS fabrication we have seen. Even the substrate has got some voltage which will be much lesser. So in order to, because of that lesser voltage, and also in order to have the simplicity in the calculations, we'll be neglecting that substrate bias. So see now. Here, if I integrate this particular state, we have just sent the CX to the other side, and we have started integrating the T, which is changing from 0 time T equal to 0 to time T seconds. So that's why integrating the above equation with the T from 0 to T and Vx from 0 to Vx, we will be getting this particular operations. Ultimately, you get, therefore, finally, you come across a value of T is equal to 2Cx by Kn. That is equal to product of 1 by VDD minus Vx minus Vt minus of VDD minus Vt. So this is an equation how to calculate the time interval for that particular signal movement, and this is an equation which we can obtain while doing some integration part for the Vx also. So ultimately, you come across the value of Vx is equal to this particular part. So this is a fractional part, and from this one we have found out how to get the value of T and also Vx. And this is very important. This kind of calculations are very important when you're trying to deal any kind of analog VLSI circuits. If you're good at this calculation parts, then the analog calculations becomes easy in order to design any kind of VLSI circuit. So now let us see, in the previous case we have seen about logic 1. Now let us see with the logic 0 transfer. If you are transferring the logic 0 at the same time T equal to 0, then Vx is equal to Vmax. Why does Vx is equal to Vmax? If logic equal to 0, then ultimately what happens for the first case, if Cx equal to 0, so see now, if Vin equal to this one, then here if Cx equal to 0, it will be in the off state. So ultimately, what are the values stored in the previous state will be restored here in the x1 in the x node. But when we come to this part, whenever it is a high state, if you give it as a high state, then definitely what happens, this Vin equal to 0, if Vin equal to 0, it will be passed to this X node. So that's what we have written here. If Vin equal to 0 volts, then clock is varying from 0 to VDD. Initially, it will be 0, and then ultimately it goes to VDD. Since I'm using here N type of pass transistor, the pass transistor, this N type of pass transistor will be working only when the gate voltage equal to high. So whenever I give clock equal to VDD, then only it will be turned on. Then this input signal which is supplied over here will move from this particular part of the terminal of the transistor to the another part of the terminal of transistor, so that you can expect some kind of voltage at the node X, and that voltage at the node X will define the value which is stored in the CX. So this is what we have given here. VGS here is equal to VDD, and VDS equal to Vmax. What are the voltage you get here? And that VDS is equal to VDD minus the threshold voltage of this particular transistor. Therefore, ultimately, whenever this kind of situation occurs, this is called as your transistor is in the linear region operation. For the linear region operation, and this is the equation for the linear region operation, and the previous one we have seen it, the equation for the saturation region operation, and this is the equation for the linear region operation. And here in the linear region operation, let us now try to integrate this one and try to get the value of T and also Vx. See here now, if you try to integrate that particular linear region of equation, so ultimately you come across the equation or the value of T is equal to this one. And in the same way, when you try to integrate with respect to voltage, you can even come across a value of Vx is equal to with respect to T. And this is two equations which are very important in order to find it out, in order to calculate the time interval and also the voltage which is stored at the X nodes. So now let us see some basic principles about pass transistor, about the charge storage and charge leakage. Charge storage and charge leakage. So charge storage is regarding what are the charge which is stored in the capacitor, and leakage is regarding the degrading of the value of capacitance in the capacitor. So CN, at time t equal to 0, at time t equal to 0, the clock equal to 0 and Vx equal to Vmax. We know that clock equal to 0 and Vx, it's a previous state. That's why we have written Vx. We have considered these conditions. If Vx equal to Vmax and Vin equal to 0, then the charge stored in the Cx will be gradually leak away. Why does the charge stored in the Cx will leak gradually? Because here the capacitor, it is not connected. This input Vn and this Vx are not connected. Since it is clock equal to 0, this is in the off state. It is not connected. So what are the previous state value stored in the capacitor will be the highest state. It will become the higher potential voltage, and that will degrade to the ground. So that's why we have written here the leakage takes place, gradually leaks away, primarily due to the leakage currents associated with the pass transistor, and then ultimately the gate current of the inverter driver transistor, which is negligible. So there are two kinds of reasons why does this leakage takes place. First one is due to the leakage currents, means the currents or the voltage gradually leaks due to the principle of higher potential and lower potential voltages. And later, due to the transistors, in the previous case, you have seen there are some inverters connected here, and the gate of the inverter is connected to this capacitor. Because of that one also, it leaks, but that is very low, which is very negligible. But mostly it leaks because of the degrading of the state from high potential area to the low potential area. So that's a basic reason. So this is how your N transistor looks here. This is a subthreshold current, and this reversing of the transistor takes place. Both are of N type, and this is your N type of transistor with respect to its substrate and its drain and source terminal, and this is a gate terminal. This is a continuation for the same thing. You can even see here the same structure I have drawn here in this case, which defines about how this both the transistors have been reversely connected. Because we know that whenever you are talking about here two types of semiconductors are connected, means definitely there will be a diode will be formed, and this is a connection about the diode which is connected here. And because of the movement of the leakage currents, the reverse current flows here. The reverse current flows, and that reverse current happens from the diode to this ground terminal. So it's a drain substrate PN junction diode here. And here leakage current. What is the main leakage current here? The leakage current is mainly due to the reverse current, also the substrate subthreshold current here. So coming to this capacitor which is stored in the capacitance which is stored in the capacitor. This capacitance is equal to CGB. It's a gate and bias, and again you can see it's regarding the capacitor poly and also metal. So all this will associate in order to make the capacitance which is stored in the capacitor. So Cx is equal to, ultimately Cx equal to Cin plus Cj, which is the junction capacitor. That's also very important. This which is inside this one, inside junction capacitor is inside this particular transistor. So Cx. So ultimately Cx equal to the combination of these two capacitors. So that is Cx equal to Cin plus Cj. So you can see here now subthreshold current is a subthreshold current for the pass transistor which clock equal to 0. Whenever the clock equal to 0, definitely the leakage takes place. Why? Because your transistor is in the off mode. So that happens here. Again, the reverse current which happens for the source and drain of the PN junction at the node X. At the node X, so this particular reverse current takes place, and Cj is a reverse bias drain substrate junction, which is a function of Vx, this particular part node X, and Cn is mainly due to the oxide related parasitics. Definitely we know that there with the help of this different kinds of oxides and all different kinds of layers, we'll be designing the capacitor here. And if you are making any kind of error in designing the capacitor, the parasitics will be formed, and because of those parasitics only, this Cn oxide this happens here. The capacitance which is stored is a result of this oxide related parasitics. And this is a continuation for that one. If I need the total charge which is stored in the soft node here at this particular Vx, that can be expressed as Q equal to Qj Vx plus Qin. So this is regarding the Q, and Qin is nothing else but this is a input voltage of the next state inverters which we have connected in the previous slides. We have seen that one. So that junction of that one Vx plus Qin, where Qin is nothing else but you know that this is a basic formula. We even studied this one. Q equal to Cv or C equal to Q by V. It's a basic definition of a capacitance. So Qin equal to Cin into Vx. So the total leakage current can be expressed and also explained in terms of Vx. In terms of node X has I leakage equal to Q by T, which is a basic definition of a current. That is equal to what is Q now here? Your Q is equal to the complete this particular the current charge at the junction, that is at the point of Vx, and also at the input part, and at the input of that particular signal. So ultimately I can write it as this particular formula. If you differentiate this one, ultimately you come across this particular value of this I. There's a leakage current. So now Qn is equal to, you substitute this one, you get the final answers. Differentiating, you get the answer of the I leakage. So ultimately this is a formula in order to find it out, the I leakage, and we have to solve the above differential equations in order to estimate the actual leakage current from the soft nodes. The basic principles of the pass transistor circuit continuation, where let us see now. Let me assume that your soft node is at a minimum value. If a soft node capacitor is at minimum value, then ultimately we have seen that the capacitance which is stored at the capacitor will be a combination of different kinds of capacitor. It is mainly due to the CGB, which is gate and by a bulk or the substrate. Plus it is a capacitance due to the polysilicon. It's a capacitance due to the, it's a metal. Capacitor due to the metal, and also capacitor due to bulk and the drain terminal. So ultimately the entire capacitor which is stored in the capacitance which is stored in the capacitor will be because of all these capacitances. So the capacitance due to the drain and bulk minimum is a minimum junction capacitance obtained at value Vx equal to Vmax. In order to get the minimum capacitance, the Vx should be always equal to Vmax. Now let us see the worst case holding time, that the time which the particular capacitor can be stored in the capacitor. It is the shortest time from the Vx to the drop from its initial logic high value to the logic threshold voltage due to leakage. So now the minimum voltage minimum time a particular capacitor can hold the actual value, that's the logic high state, is this one. That's the minimum worst case holding time. It is a time which is taken by a capacitor in order to hold that high state before it gets dropped to the logic threshold voltage of the particular transistor. That's due to leakage. So these are the different kinds of equations in order to find it out, the hold time, and also the critical charge, minimum critical charge time. Minimum critical charge. So now let us see one example. One example regarding the AND gate. How does it act as an AND gate? See now, this is an AND gate. This is an AND gate which has been designed with the help of a pass transistor. We are used here two different kinds of pass transistors. So one input A is connected, and for the other one input B is connected, and input logic 0 is connected, and these are the signals which are supplying at gates of these two pass transistors. So see, when B is equal to 1, when input B is equal to 1, ultimately B bar will become a 0. So the top device turns on and copies the input A to the output F, and when B is equal to low, the bottom turns on and passes to the 0. So this is how the operation takes place for the AND gate operation. So ultimately the presence of the switch driven by the B bar is essential to ensure that gate is static. That means that a low impedance path has been created and which must exist to supply the rails. Supply rails is nothing else but we are talking about the VDD and the ground terminals. So what is the advantage of using this pass transistor in order to build the AND gate? We'll be using the fewer devices to implement some functions. See here now we have seen that by using the CMOS structures, the AND gate has been designed by using nearly 6 different transistors. You'll be having like first we'll be designing the NAND gate with the help of 2 PMOS and 2 NMOS, and again for the NAND gate you'll be connecting an inverter. So ultimately you come across 3 PMOS and 3 NMOS. Whenever you use these 6 transistors, then only you can have a complete AND gate operation or functionality you can obtain. But here, with the help of this pass transistor, we'll be using only 2 pass transistors in order to have this AND gate operations. So that's why AND gate 2 requires 4 devices, including an inverter to the invert B. Means ultimately you'll be having 4 plus inverter, that is 6 devices, versus 6 for the complementary. Okay, see now, 6 for the complementary CMOS, lower total capacitance. So this is a main and major advantage between the CMOS structure and the pass transistor logic structures. NMOS is effective to pass 0, but poor at pulling at a node to the VDD. Yeah, NMOS is mainly the main. This you can take it as an objective for any of the competitive exams. The pass transistor, which is being designed with the help of NMOS, is very poor in order to pull the node to the VDD. Means to pull the node to the higher value, it's very poor. Whereas the PMOS will be very poor in order to pull the node to ground, to GND. PMOS pass transistor is poor at pulling the node to ground, and NMOS pass transistor is poor at pulling the node to VDD. When the pass transistor a node high, the output only charges to the VDD minus VTH. Definitely, why? Because whenever a signal is passing through the transistor, you are supposed to always take a difference of VDD minus VTH, threshold voltage. That will be your actual value, which is stored at the node X or at the output part. You will not be expecting, if you are given a VDD equal to 5 volts and your threshold voltage of the transistor is something near about 0.4, you will not be getting exactly 5 volts at output. You'll be getting like 5 minus 0.4, that is will be something like 4.6 will be your output, which is obtained at the capacitor. So that's how you should calculate the value which is stored at the capacitor. So that's why the output only charges up to VDD minus threshold voltage of the N transistor, and this becomes worse due to the body effect. If the body effect is there, that's body effect means you're talking about the substrate part. If substrate is having some voltage, then definitely you get much lower value than compared to whatever you get over here. And now let us see what is the value of this voltage which is stored at the source of this one. The node will be charged up to VDD minus VTN. That particular node has been given as VS. In the previous case, it has been taken as VX. So that value will be given by this particular equation. And this is an equation which is mainly used in order to calculate what will be the minimum voltage which is stored at the node X or node S in this case. Now let us see the advantages of a pass transistor. The advantage of pass transistor logic are the simple design. First one, it's a simple design. Then the reuse of already available signals and the lower contribution to the static power. So these are the 3 major advantages. It will be using a simple design. The reusing of already available signals can be done, and also the static power will be very less. However, against the other type of logic, the X signals are not regenerated. Instead, they are passed through the RC structure. It's a resistor and capacitive structure. Means what are the logic we have stored here? We are talking about the restoring of the capacitor, restoring of the capacitance in the capacitor. We are talking about refreshing and restoring of the capacitor. That we cannot regenerate again. We should always maintain that value so that the degrading of the capacitance will not take place below or in between the logic 1 and logic 0. So you should maintain that one. And the other part of this pass transistor, that is disadvantages, as the integrated circuit supply voltage decreases. If the IC power supply decreases, then the disadvantage of pass transistor become more significant. So what is the disadvantage? The threshold voltage of the pass transistor becomes large compared to the supply voltage, which severely limiting the number of sequential stages. So this is a major disadvantages. When the supply voltage decreases, then definitely your threshold voltage of this particular transistor increases. Why? Because threshold voltage increase. Threshold voltage is what? It is a minimum voltage which is required by a particular transistor to turn it on. Means in order to create a channel, you should have minimum voltage. So whenever the supply voltage decreases, then definitely it becomes very hard for the pass transistor to create a channel through which it can pass a signal from input to the output part of that particular transistor. So in order to create a channel, you need some minimum voltage, and that voltage is called as a threshold voltage. That threshold voltage becomes large whenever the supply voltage decreases. And because of this becoming of large threshold voltage, it limits the sequential stages. The next stages we are supposed to limit it. Why? Because if it is taking larger amount of time in order to create the channel, then definitely the delay will be increased. So ultimately our main aim of obtaining the fastness or the robustness in supplying or in moving the signal from one part to another part will not be achieved. Everything will be gone in vain. So that's why you should make sure that the supply voltage will not decrease. These are the advantage and disadvantage of the pass transistors. And thank you everyone for this particular